She noticed it first on a Tuesday. Same black sweater. Same jeans. Same canvas shoes with the frayed laces that curled at the ends like they'd given up weeks ago. Rebecca stood in the hallway of Jefferson Elementary, third grade classroom, watching Mrs. Chen arrive for the 5th day in a row wearing exactly the same thing. Not similar, identical. The kind of identical that makes you question if you're remembering wrong. But Rebecca wasn't remembering wrong. She had this habit of noticing details. Came from years of teaching 2nd grade, where you learn to spot when a kid's wearing the same shirt 3 days running because something's happening at home that nobody's talking about. If you're watching this, hit subscribe. You'll want to see where this goes. Rebecca taught 2nd grade, right across the hall. And for 3 years, she'd known Mrs. Chun as the teacher who color coordinated everything. Scarves matched earrings. Nail polish matched folder covers. The woman had a system, a pride in presentation that felt almost defiant in a job where you're wiping glue off tables and kneeling on construction paper scraps until your knees ache and you find dried tempera paint in your hair 3 days after art class. Mrs. Chun was the teacher who brought fresh flowers for her desk every Monday, who wore heels even though everyone else had switched to sneakers years ago because your feet just give up eventually, who kept a lint roller in her desk drawer and used it between classes like some people check their phones. But this was different. Day 6. Same outfit. Rebecca noticed a coffee stain near the collar that hadn't been there before. Small, the kind you get when you're pouring too fast or your hands aren't quite steady. Day 7. The stain was still there. Day 8. Rebecca started counting. Not out loud. Not to anyone else. Just counting. The way you count things that don't make sense, because maybe if you track them long enough they'll start to. Mrs. Chen smiled the same way she always had. Asked about Rebecca's weekend. Complimented the new bulletin board with the sunshine border and the "You are capable of amazing things" lettering that took Rebecca 45 minutes and 3 coffee breaks to finish. Helped a crying child find their lunchbox. Stayed late to tutor the kid who still couldn't grasp multiplication. Nothing seemed wrong. Except everything felt wrong in that way you can't quite name. Like when you walk into a room and forget why you came, but know something shifted while you weren't looking. By day 12, other teachers noticed. Is she okay? Should we say something? Maybe it's a capsule wardrobe thing. Isn't that what they call it now? For 12 days straight? Maybe she really loves that outfit. But it wasn't love. Rebecca knew it wasn't. Because Mrs. Chen's hands had started trembling when she held her coffee mug. Because she'd stopped eating lunch in the teacher's lounge. That cramped room with the microwave that only works if you hit it on the left side. And the refrigerator covered in motivational magnets that nobody actually finds motivating. Because twice, Rebecca had seen her sitting in her car after school, just sitting there, staring at nothing, engine off, hands on the wheel, like she was still driving somewhere she'd never reach. Day 15. Rebecca walked past Mrs. Chun's classroom during planning period. Door open. Mrs. Chun wasn't there, but her desk was chaos. Papers everywhere. Ungraded worksheets stacked crooked. A coffee cup with something growing in it. Mrs. Chun didn't do chaos. Mrs. Chun had labeled bins and a filing system, and color-coded sticky notes. This wasn't right. Day 17. Rebecca knocked on Mrs. Chun's classroom door after the kids left. That specific time of day when the building feels too quiet, and you can hear the janitor's keys jingling 3 hallways away. The room smelled like markers and that specific elementary school air that's part pencil shavings, part hope, part exhaustion baked into linoleum floors that have seen 30 years of small feet running toward futures they can't imagine yet. Hey, you good? Mrs. Chen looked up from her desk. Papers everywhere. Ungraded. Red pen untouched. Unlike her. So unlike her. I'm fine. The most dangerous phrase in the English language. Sarah. Rebecca used her first name. They'd been colleagues for 3 years and she'd maybe said it twice. You've been wearing the same clothes for almost 3 weeks. Silence. Not the comfortable kind. The kind that has weight. The kind that presses down on your chest. and makes you wish you'd never asked, but you're glad you did because someone needs to. Then Mrs. Chun laughed. Quiet. Broken. The kind of laugh that sounds like it's holding back something that shouldn't be held back. Like a dam made of breath and willpower, and the desperate hope that if you don't say it out loud, it might not be real. I have other clothes, she said. Voice steady. Too steady. The kind of steady that takes effort. At home. In my closet. Probably 20 outfits. All coordinated. All perfect. All hanging exactly 1 inch apart because I measured. Rebecca waited. But they're at a house I don't live in anymore. The words landed heavy. If this is hitting you, drop a like and subscribe. This story shifts hard. The separation happened fast. The kind nobody sees coming because the couple seems fine until they're not. Until one day you're married and the next day you're searching your car for spare change to buy dinner because your bank account is frozen and your husband's lawyer is calling and you don't have a lawyer because you didn't think you'd need one because this wasn't supposed to happen. Mrs. Chun had left with 2 suitcases on a Thursday. Emergency exit. The kind of leaving where you grab what matters and everything else becomes evidence of a life you're trying not to think about. Where you're choosing between photo albums and winter coats and you can't think straight because he's yelling and you just need out. She'd packed work clothes. Professional. Appropriate. 3 blazers. 5 blouses. 2 pairs of slacks. 1 pair of nice jeans. Because work was safe. Work made sense. If she could just keep teaching, keep showing up, keep being the teacher who had her life together, then maybe she could convince herself she still had her life together. But she'd forgotten everything else. Forgot pajamas. Forgot her toothbrush. Forgot that life happens outside of work hours and you need more than professional outfits when you're suddenly living in your sister's spare room that still smells like the nephew who moved out for college 3 years ago and left behind posters of bands you don't recognize and a carpet stain shaped like optimism. I kept meaning to go back, Mrs. Chun said. Get the rest. But he changed the locks the next day. And then it became this thing. This stupid thing where I'd have to text him. Coordinate. See him. And I just couldn't. She picked at a fingernail. Polish chipped. Also unlike her. So I washed this. She gestured at herself. At the black sweater and jeans that had become a uniform of survival. Every night. Hung it in the bathroom. Wore it again. Easier than asking for help. Easier than admitting I left so fast I didn't even pack enough underwear for a week. Easier than telling my sister I need to borrow money for basics because my paycheck goes to the lawyer I had to hire and the deposit on an apartment I can't afford yet. Rebecca sat down in one of the small student chairs, knees up near her chest. Felt like a giant. Felt small at the same time. Everyone thinks leaving is this empowering thing, Mrs. Chun continued. Like you pack your bags and walk out and suddenly you're free and strong and starting over. Nobody tells you that starting over means realizing you don't own a can opener, that your entire life was built with someone else and now you're trying to figure out which pieces were yours and which pieces only worked because there were 2 of you. She laughed again. Still broken. I wore the same outfit for 19 days because I was too embarrassed to ask for help. How pathetic is that? It's not pathetic, Rebecca said. It's human, day 19. Rebecca showed up at Mrs. Chen's classroom before school with 2 garbage bags. Used ones from her garage. Nothing fancy. Tied at the top with the handles because she didn't have anything better. These are for you, she said. Clothes. Probably not your style. Definitely not coordinated. My sister left them when she moved and I was going to donate them, but they're clean and they fit someone approximately your size. Mrs. Chun stared at the bags like they were written in a language she'd forgotten how to read. I can't. You can. You don't have to wear them. But you can. And nobody has to know where they came from if you don't want them to. Mrs. Chin's hands shook when she took the bags. Not from weakness. From something else. Relief, maybe. Or the weight of being seen when you thought you were invisible. That afternoon, Mrs. Chun wore a green cardigan that was slightly too big and jeans that were slightly too short. The next day, a grey sweater. The day after, something else. Something with a pattern. Small flowers. The kind that almost looked like the old Mrs. Chun, but not quite. A version that was rebuilding. The black outfit stayed folded in her bag. The other teachers never asked what happened, but they started noticing things differently. The way someone can seem fine until they're not. The way crisis doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it shows up as wearing the same thing for 19 days because the act of gathering your life back feels too heavy to carry. Mrs. Chen eventually got her clothes back. 2 months later, hired someone to meet her ex, get her things. 6 boxes, all neatly folded, all perfectly coordinated, all somehow smaller than she remembered, smaller than the space they took up in her memory. She donated most of it, kept the black outfit though, washed it properly for the first time in weeks, hung it in the back of her closet at her new apartment, the one she got after living with her sister for 3 months. Small, 1 bedroom, windows that faced a parking lot. But hers, completely hers. She didn't keep it as punishment, not as reminder of failure, but as proof. Proof that sometimes survival looks nothing like you think it should. Proof that strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's washing the same outfit every night, because that's all you have and you still show up. Still teach 23 third graders their multiplication tables. Still smile. Still help the quiet kid who can't make friends. Still exist in a world that kept spinning even though yours stopped. Proof that people notice more than they say. That Rebecca saw. That 2 garbage bags of mismatched clothes meant someone looked at you and didn't see failure. Saw someone who needed help and decided to help without making it a thing. Rebecca still teaches across the hall. They still have coffee sometimes. Small talk, lesson plans, complaints about standardized testing, and the new math curriculum that makes no sense. Normal things, surface things. But underneath there's this understanding. The kind you only get when someone sees you at your lowest and doesn't look away. Every few weeks, Rebecca notices what Mrs. Chen is wearing. Not judging, not analyzing, just noticing. The way you notice someone's still here, still showing up, still rebuilding what broke in ways nobody else could see, still buying fresh flowers for her desk, still wearing heels even though they hurt, still being the teacher who color coordinates. Because that's who she is. That's who she chose to be again. If this story hit different, subscribe and drop a comment. Tell me about a time someone saw you when you needed it most. When the smallest gesture meant everything. Next video drops in 3 days and it's about the teacher who never spoke. Not once in 12 years. Until the day she absolutely had to. What's the smallest act of kindness that changed everything for you?